At the edge of the canyon, the hills rise up and drop back off into a sprawling basin. Everything you see here was once underwater, trapped for centuries beneath the floodwaters of the melting Ice Age glaciers. When the water finally drained, it left behind 50 square miles of subalpine grasslands that would come to be named after the pioneers. This is Hayden Valley. A stunning open range to behold and home to one of the most iconic animals in U.S. history, the great American bison. Weighing up to a ton and standing 6 feet tall at the hump. These are the largest mammals in North America. And the Yellowstone herd are the only pure descendants left of the Asian bison who migrated across the land bridge to North America 400,000 years ago. And in July and August, right when the Hayden party was making their way down these hills, dust fills the air in the valley. The bison run is underway. Female bison tend to mate with the most dominant bulls. This wallowing behavior by the males is a display of power and aggression. During the mating season, each bull will lose around 200 pounds, dedicating all his time and energy to performing for the potential mates. It's an interesting ritual, but highly effective. Because in Yellowstone, the bison are thriving, and every year, more and more of these woolly giants roam the valley. Fortunately, Mother Nature has her own way of balancing the ecosystem. And while the bison here are formidable, in Hayden Valley, the Wapiti Lake wolf pack runs the show. And bison steak is on their menu. At 19 wolves strong, the pack is a force to be reckoned with. And they fought off numerous attempts from other packs to steal their territory. With a flourishing population of over 500 wolves currently living in the Yellowstone ecosystem, it's certain that they'll be challenged again, and a new pack will reign supreme over the valley. It's all part of the natural and inevitable ebb and flow of life. these guys, by the time they got here, they must have known they found paradise. How could you not, you know? Wild game everywhere, geology everywhere. Maybe it was right here where they started to change their mind about this place. Why in the hell would you build a railroad through all of this? During the expedition, Hayden was sending letters back to the North Pacific Railroad Company, just giving them updates, but at some point his tone changed and his communications became less about logistics and more about the beauty all around. Maybe it was a day just like this, right here in this spot that got to him. Whether the seeds of doubt had crept into their minds or not, Hayden and his team were determined to explore as much of this alien world as possible. So they headed in further, following the river to the lake that feeds it. "20 miles across and 14 miles wide, Yellowstone Lake is the largest high-elevation lake in America. Its 110 miles of coastline provide unlimited fresh drinking water to every species in the park during the summer. In winter, the liquid water is trapped below a sheet of ice, 3 feet thick. Holes in the frozen surface mark spots where warm water gushes up from below as geysers, and hot springs rage beneath the lake's peaceful surface. It's the result of Yellowstone's active geology. It's what gives life to all the park's geothermal activity. It's why this alien world looks like no other place on Earth. And the curiosities it offers are endless. Black Dragon's Cauldron, a boiling mud pot that burst through the ground in 1948, once blasting mud up to 20 feet in the air. The cauldron has since cooled to a steady bubble along the surface. Mammoth Hot Springs, formed over thousands of years as spring water traveled underground through a fault line and then cooled as it seeped out of the limestone. depositing calcium carbonate. Algae in the warm pools turn the stone shelves in the travertine terrace red, green, brown, and orange. The Grand Prismatic Spring is a single feature that took up the most space in the Hayden Expedition's journals. A mesmerizing sight where water bubbles up from the Earth's crust. At 189 degrees in the center, it's too hot for anything to live, giving it the deep blue color of pure water. As the water spreads across the surface, it cools. Allowing thermophilic bacteria to flourish. Each ring of color is a different type of bacteria that thrives at a different temperature. But bacteria aren't the only life forms that have adapted to the unique geology here. Bison migrate to the thermals in winter, where heat melts away the heavy snow, exposing the grass below. Cliff swallows come every spring to make condos out of the pock sandstone mounds left behind by the dormant hot springs of the past. The ever-morphing geology of Yellowstone built these homes. All they have to do is move in. Must be nice. You know, it's amazing how much they all knew so long ago. They must have all felt the ground moving, heard the rock slides in the distance at night falling. They all knew something was pushing from down below. It took another 100 years to figure out what was really going on down there. Kind of wish I didn't sometimes. We know there's a volcano down there and a magma chamber 37 miles long, 18 miles wide, and extending 5 miles down into the Earth's crust. Scientists estimate an eruption could send thousands of cubic miles of rock and molten glass into the atmosphere. Creating a cloud of dust and debris so thick that no one on Earth would see the sun for years. That worst-case scenario isn't meant to be terrifying. It's meant to quantify the power of the underground boiler that sits right below the surface of Yellowstone. That volcano's only erupted 3 times over the last 2 million years, so it's unpredictable. But the awesome heat it generates powers one of the most iconic landmarks in the U.S. One you can set your watch by. People come from all over the world to stand with eyes wide and mouths hung open. It's the most visited feature in Yellowstone. This is Old Faithful. Named for the consistency of its eruptions, Old Faithful is a crack in the earth above an underground reservoir. And Yellowstone's searing geothermal heat keeps that water steaming hot 24 hours a day, filling the chamber with steam pressure. Pressure that builds and builds, and roughly every 90 minutes. After months of exploring, the Hayden team had seen some of the most dazzling sights in the world. And their journals were filled with attempts to detail the mind-blowing phenomena that lay right in their country's backyard. They knew immediately this was a special place. But then they came across two prospectors who'd laid claim to the entire area. They were gonna dig for gold, build a hotel, and market the water as some sort of magical healing potion. And the thought of it must have just crushed Hayden. He knew that it would be destroyed soon, that his children's children would never see it unless he did something about it. It requires no stretch of the imagination to see this place in the near future, thronged with invalids drinking this water and bathing in it for their health. He knew that if he could protect Yellowstone, if he could find a way, that it would rank with any natural curiosity the world can produce. His words. Imagine the pressure Hayden must have been feeling. Gold interest, Congress, railroad barons. Powerful people wanted this land for themselves. He knew the fight would be uphill, but he also knew that when you have an idea and you believe in it strongly enough, you can change the world.